Ethan slammed the door shut, his backpack thudding onto the wooden floor. The small apartment fell into silence, as if it, too, was afraid of bumping into the storm of anger boiling inside him. The air felt heavier than loneliness. It was the weight of not being able to believe in anything anymore. He had just gone through a breakup, the third one in 5 years. 3 relationships, 3 painful endings. The first ended in betrayal. The second withered from silence. And the third was even worse. She told him he was too sensitive, too idealistic, and not fit for the modern lifestyle. Maybe you should have dated someone from the 1800s? That line echoed in Ethan's mind for an entire week, like a small cut that wouldn't stop bleeding. He stopped listening to music, stopped eating, didn't want to answer his phone. But on one gray afternoon, his cousin Lucas knocked on the door. Lucas was the kind of person who made any room feel lighter just by being there. He'd been through bigger losses than Ethan, yet carried a calm steadiness wherever he went. "Want to take a walk?" Lucas asked. Ethan didn't respond but stood up and followed. They walked through the city park, where the trees had begun turning yellow and red, signaling the start of fall. Lucas shared a few light stories, then suddenly asked, "Ethan, what kind of person are you looking for?" Ethan shrugged and mumbled like he was reciting a familiar prayer. "Someone who listens, who's kind, who has depth, who doesn't play games with people's feelings." Lucas nodded. "Sounds fair? But hey," he pointed toward a nearby flower bed. "If you water a plastic flower every day, what exactly are you hoping will happen?" Ethan frowned. "What?" Lucas smiled, but his eyes were serious. "I mean it. You water it regularly, care for it, place it in the sunlight, but it turns out it's a plastic flower. Will it ever bloom? Will it change with the seasons? Will it grow or bear seeds?" Ethan let out a faint laugh, but his face slowly turned thoughtful as he caught the meaning behind the words. Lucas continued, his tone calm, as if telling an old story. There was a man who dreamed of growing a beautiful garden, not just to admire, but to live with. Flowers that swayed in the wind, bowed in the rain, and shared the seasons with him. Every morning, he woke up early to water them, pull weeds, and nourish the soil. Day by day, he hoped the garden would respond to the love he gave. But he didn't realize he was tending to a bunch of plastic flowers. So well made they looked real, shiny, flawless, beautiful, but hollow, no roots, no life, and of course, no ability to feel anything he gave. Ethan stood still. Lucas kept looking at the flower bed. His gaze held no judgment, just a quiet depth like still water. He thought he was being persistent, Lucas said, but in reality, he was just pouring his faith into something that could never give anything back. And every time the flowers didn't bloom, he'd water them more, love them harder, hope stronger, not realizing that the mistake wasn't in how he loved, but in who he loved. Ethan clenched his hands inside his coat pockets. A soft breeze scattered dry leaves around their feet. "And you?" Lucas turned, eyes resting on Ethan's lowered face. "Where did you meet those last 3 girls?" Ethan hesitated. "Bars, dating apps, friends parties." Lucas raised an eyebrow. "And you were hoping to find someone deep, kind, who listens, in places where people go to stand out as fast as they can?" Ethan said nothing. He looked down at his worn shoes, now covered in bits of dry leaves. "Don't water plastic flowers, Ethan," Lucas said, his voice now gentler. "Not because they're bad, but because you're expecting them to be real. You're giving the most honest parts of yourself. Your care, your kindness, your loyalty to something that can't give anything back. And then you get hurt when nothing grows." Lucas paused, letting the words settle. Then he added, slow and steady, "If you truly want someone who listens, who's deep, who lives with kindness, then go where those qualities are valued. Places where people go to learn, to share, to observe quietly instead of performing. A library, an art class, a volunteer group, a book club, or a small community where people don't say much, but they live sincerely." Lucas glanced over at Ethan. "Those places don't have bright lights, no loud music, no filters, but that's where you're more likely to meet someone whose heart is still truly alive." Bars, parties, dating apps, they're not bad, Lucas emphasized, but they're full of plastic flowers, attractive, shiny, fun, but they don't grow. The more effort you give, the more you expect. You're only setting yourself up to be hurt, not because you're lacking, but because you're giving your heart to the wrong place. Ethan stayed quiet, but it was a thoughtful silence. He didn't feel insulted. If anything, he felt lighter, like someone had finally said what he hadn't been brave enough to admit to himself. Lucas placed a hand on his shoulder gently. "You don't have to stop loving, Ethan. Just love with discernment. Your heart is valuable. Don't pour it out on plastic. Somewhere out there, real flowers are blooming slowly, and they're looking for someone patient enough to notice the life inside them." That night, Ethan lay on the couch, staring at a tiny cactus by the windowsill. He chuckled to himself. How many times had he confused something pretty on the outside with something capable of growing with him? He didn't overhaul his life overnight. He didn't delete all his apps or go on a week-long meditation retreat. He just started shifting the small things, signed up for a weekend drawing class, picked up a book he'd never finished, and once a month volunteered at the local library. 3 months later, when the first snow began to fall, Ethan met Leah. Leah didn't shake his world the first time they met. She wasn't someone who lit up a room. She was just the event coordinator at the library where Ethan helped out. She wasn't breathtakingly beautiful, but she was gentle. She paid attention. She answered thoughtfully. And most importantly, she made Ethan feel seen. It started with a cup of coffee after a reading event, then a few emails about books, then a walk in the park where Leah told him she loved to draw fallen leaves because there's something beautiful about things in the middle of fading. Little by little, the qualities Ethan had once written as ideals in his journal, kindness, depth, honesty, stopped being dreams. They were real, looking back at him, smiling through Leah. 2 years later, they had a small wedding in a hillside town. No fireworks, no live stream, just close friends, a few acoustic songs, and a wooden sign at the entrance that read, "Love doesn't grow by watering harder. It grows when you water something real." In today's world, we're taught, keep trying, work harder, be persistent, and you'll succeed. But no one tells you, if you're pouring your energy into something that cannot grow, that persistence just becomes self-destruction. You can water it every day, speak gently, be endlessly patient, but if what you're nurturing is a plastic flower, it will never respond. Not because you're not good enough, but because the thing you're investing in has no ability to respond. It can't grow. It can't change. Some people spend years trying to salvage a job in a toxic environment. The boss doesn't listen. The system is rigged. There's no real path to grow. But they stay because they believe, maybe I haven't tried hard enough. That's watering a plastic flower. Others pour their heart into a shallow connection, hoping to be seen, included, or uplifted. They text, they help, they endure. But the other person, since day one, only ever saw them as a shadow. And the more they try, the more drained they become. That, too, is watering a plastic flower. So sometimes success isn't about how long you persist. It's about whether you're watering the right kind of plant. Persistence is a virtue. But without wisdom, it becomes a quiet form of self-harm. Slow, silent, and unnoticed. Take a step back. Look at the flower you're nurturing. Does it have roots? Can it grow? Is it even alive? Because not everything you work hard for is worth it. And not every silent result is a sign that you didn't try hard enough. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do isn't trying harder, but knowing when to stop. Put the watering can down and go find soil that's truly grateful for your care. I hope you found this story helpful. If you enjoyed today's story, be sure to hit the like button. It might seem like a small thing, but because of how the YouTube algorithm works, videos with more likes tend to get shown to more people. So your like really helps this video reach others who might need it too. And if you find my content valuable, consider subscribing. It really helps more people discover it. Thanks for watching, and I wish you and your family good health and peace. See you in the next story.